The debate is over. The speculation has finally ended. After weeks of intense discussion and internal deliberation, New Zealand Rugby has confirmed that Dave Rennie will lead the New Zealand National Rugby Union team into the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia. IT is a decision loaded with significance, culturally, strategically, and competitively. Here are 5 major takeaways from Rennie's appointment and what they mean for New Zealand Rugby moving forward that won the top line. A revival story with historic significance. Rennie's appointment marks both a fresh start and a powerful personal comeback that of Cook Islands descent through his mother, Titikavika Rarotonga. Rennie becomes the first All Blacks head coach with Pacifica heritage. That milestone alone is meaningful in a country where Pacific communities play such a central role in rugby's fabric. But symbolism aside, the job at hand is immense. Rennie inherits a packed international calendar, including the nation's championship and the ongoing rivalry battles with South Africa. There is no easing into the role. By the time he officially steps into camp in June, after honoring his commitments with Kobelco Kobe Steelers, the sprint to the 2027 Rugby World Cup will already be underway. Two contractual details stand out. His deal runs only until the conclusion of the 2027 World Cup. He will double job until June before focusing exclusively on the All Blacks. That short-term contract reflects calculated pragmatism. NZ Rugby appears determined to evaluate performance at the end of the cycle rather than commit long-term during a period of structural uncertainty in the global game. For Rennie personally, it is a stunning resurrection. After being dismissed by Rugby Australia in 2023, he now returns to the highest-profile coaching role in World Rugby, a position Sir Graham Henry once suggested he deserved years ago. He may never have worn the black jersey as a player, but his coaching resume is elite. 3 consecutive Junior World Championship titles with New Zealand under-20s, back-to-back Super Rugby titles with the Chiefs, foundational success at Glasgow Warriors, and a respectable Wallabies tenure that included a remarkable 75% win rate against the Springboks. That statistic alone would not have gone unnoticed by the appointment panel to Jamie Joseph. Third time unlucky. Could NZ Rugby really have gone wrong between Rennie and Jamie Joseph? Joseph has now missed out on the All Blacks job 3 times, 2020, 2023, and 2026. On paper, this appeared to be his strongest chance. Why was he overlooked? While NZ Rugby chair David Kirk described the selection process as the most thorough in the organization's history, specifics remain confidential. That leaves observers to interpret the signs. Reports suggested Joseph was more open to retaining members of Scott Robertson's former coaching team, Scott Hansen, Jason Ryan, and Tamati Ellison, who remain under NZ Rugby contract. If NZ Rugby's intent was a clean break and full reset, that flexibility may paradoxically have counted against him. There are stylistic considerations too. Joseph is widely respected, but often described as an old-school operator. Former Springboks captain Victor Matfield relayed feedback from Japanese players who felt Joseph could be rigid and intensely demanding. Long training sessions and uncompromising standards are hallmarks of his style. Rennie is no soft touch, but there is a perception that he operates with slightly more adaptability. The most intriguing factor, however, may lie in South Africa. Much of Joseph's success has been intertwined with attack guru Tony Brown, currently committed to the Springboks through 2027. Would Joseph's chances have increased had Brown been available? Almost certainly. Great head coaches often have trusted lieutenants. Rassie Erasmus had Jacques Nienaber. Graham Henry had Steve Hansen and Wayne Smith. Warren Gatland had Rob Howley. Joseph, without Brown, may have appeared a less complete package. There are also whispers that Joseph preferred a longer-term deal, whereas Rennie accepted a World Cup cycle contract. From a governance standpoint, shorter commitments reduce financial and political risk. It is far easier to part ways at the end of a contract than mid-cycle. In elite sport, pragmatism often trumps sentiment. 3 time to earn the right. But how ruthless can he be? Rennie's declaration at his unveiling was striking. "I've got no loyalties." On the surface, that signals meritocracy. He last coached in New Zealand in 2017, meaning many current All Blacks were not under his direct mentorship. Unlike Joseph, who has deeper recent domestic connections. Rennie arrives with relative detachment. But will NZ Rugby allow complete ruthlessness? Central contracts are vital to retaining top talent domestically. However, they can complicate selection autonomy. Other unions, including South Africa and Ireland, have previously struggled when contracted players were perceived as undroppable. There are players who likely remain automatic selections based on pedigree and leadership value. The Barrett brothers, Ardie Savea, Cam Roigard, Cody Taylor, while Jordan de form-based selection is aspirational. True meritocracy will only be tested when a high-profile name experiences a dip in performance. If Rennie is empowered to make those tough calls, it could redefine standards within the squad. If not, the rhetoric may collide with political reality that for the overseas player dilemma, the overseas eligibility debate resurfaced immediately. Under current policy, New Zealand-based players are prioritized for selection. Yet modern rugby economics have led to a steady player drain northward and eastward. Rennie wasted no time raising the issue. He openly praised Brodie Retallick, currently thriving under him at Kobe. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's fitter than he's ever been, Rennie said. Former England and Japan coach Eddie Jones echoed similar praise, describing Retallick as the standout performer in Japan's competition. Then there's Richie and Unga, whose departure overseas created friction during Scott Robertson's tenure. South Africa made a bold move years ago by selecting overseas-based players freely, a decision that paid off with World Cup success. Will NZ Rugby consider a modified version of that approach? Rennie stopped short of demanding change, but made his stance clear. If you want to win a World Cup, you ideally select your best players. The board now faces a strategic crossroads. Protect domestic competitions at all costs? Or prioritize World Cup competitiveness? 5 captaincy can wait. Staff cannot win pressed on captaincy. Rennie wisely deferred. There are obvious candidates: Scott Barrett, Ardie Savea, Cody Taylor, and even Brodie or Jordie Barrett. With over 120 days until the first test, there is no urgency to rush that decision. Leadership groups can be established while Rennie assesses who best communicates his vision. The more pressing issue is his coaching staff. Jason Ryan's future looms large. He was instrumental in transforming the All Blacks forward pack under Ian Foster and played a key role in their run to the 2023 World Cup final. Losing that intellectual property to a rival nation would be risky. Rennie's comments about global innovation hint that his backroom team may not be exclusively Kiwi. At Kobe, he worked alongside figures such as Dan McFarland and Mike Blair. During his Wallabies tenure, assistants included Scott Wisemantle, Matt Taylor, and Dan McKellar. The composition of this staff will reveal much about Rennie's philosophy, whether he opts for continuity, international diversity, or a blend of both. Final thought: calculated gamble or masterstroke. Rennie's appointment is neither conservative nor radical. It is measured. He brings proven credentials, international experience, and a sharp competitive edge. His short-term contract limits institutional risk. His detachment from recent All Blacks politics may refresh selection dynamics. But the margin for error is thin. The nation's championship looms. South Africa remains formidable. France and Ireland are powerhouses. The World Cup clock is ticking. The captaincy can wait. The rhetoric is set. The revival narrative is compelling. Now comes the hardest part: delivering results when the black jersey demands nothing less than excellence.